Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are joined today in the studio by the directors and producer of Welcome to G-Town. We've got Ben, Nathan and Calum. Guys, thanks very much for coming in. How are we doing today?
We're all good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
I'm doing really good. Really happy to be here.
Excellent, good stuff. Let's get straight into it. Welcome to G-Town. It's at the Glasgow Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think that that was a possibility?
We were really hoping we would get into Glasgow because we had like a fear in the back of our mind that a film called Welcome to G-Town might have to premiere in like Spain or Belgium, which would feel a little bit off-brand. So Glasgow was always like the end goal for us.
But it was really tight because we finished filming this in August, and the very, very late deadline for Glasgow was at the end of October. So it was a real kind of like all men go, like trying to like get this film done in time. And we had a great post-production team, our editor Nina, and then everyone else just like really got the film over the line.
So you say the production ended in August. Take me back to when it started. Where did the idea come from to begin with, and how did you go about actually starting to make the movie?
Well, when we were at the beginning of our fourth year in like September 2024, the filmmaker Graham Hughes got in touch with us because he'd seen a short film we made, and he was basically just asking us like what our plans were after we graduated, and we kind of naively told him that we wanted to make feature films. So he said that it can be very easy to make a lot of mistakes with like things like distribution and all the more kind of behind the scenes elements with it. So he kind of said he would be our mentor and act as the adult in the room for us.
And he was great because he set us like deadlines of try and get like a one-page outline by this date, and then a first draft by this date, and then start beginning like the schedule here. And then he really helped us to like, he didn't like give us any strict things of like the movie needs to be about this. He gave us complete like creative control with just like the help of scheduling and stuff like that, and getting us ready to start shooting in June.
And was that around about October 2024 roughly?
Yeah, I think so.
When you started talking to Graham. So within the year we had a film kind of shot. So
Yeah.
And the actual story itself, the idea, where was the genesis from that?
We have a strange process where we'll come up with the title of a film first. And on the train into Glasgow Central, there's a bit of green graffiti that just says "Welcome to G-Town." And we know a lot of like Glaswegians really don't like the term G-Town, which we've
discovered.
learned. But we thought that was just a funny, it would be a funny title for like an alien invasion film in Glasgow. So it really started from there, really with the title.
There's a line in the movie that stuck out to me that I want to talk to you about. I think I might be paraphrasing, but I believe it's it can be anyone, even your pal from the chippy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a more quintessentially Glasgow line.
Yeah.
Where did that line come from? Was that always the plan to have that scene in the chippy? Because like the chippy is very much a Scottish thing. Where did that come from?
The funny thing is, when we wrote it originally, it was in a chip shop. And when we were scheduling the film, we had asked someone we knew if someone we knew's family owned a chip shop, and we were trying to film in there. And then something with schedules didn't work out, so we weren't
surprisingly enough, it's difficult to find a chip shop that will close and shut down on like a Saturday night to allow a film crew in.
So this was like the week we were filming, we found that we couldn't shoot there anymore. We were really like, we've got this scheduled for Saturday night, and we hadn't booked any of the other locations in the film, so like, we need to shoot these scenes this night because people have taken time off. So then Dylan, who's our second producer on the film, he came up with the idea that we should film in this little restaurant in town called Alien UFO Coffee Burger, which had opened just this time last year. It opened, and
even though they're a takeout shop in the centre of Glasgow, they shut at 7 on the dot every night, which is a little bit suspicious for a business in the middle of town.
But it was perfect for us.
Though.
It's perfect for us because you can get in and just film until late wee hours of the morning.
Exactly.
Dylan negotiated with these guys, and they were very happy to let us film inside. And you know, since they were an Alien branded kind of shop, it all lined up. And
It's a
So
one of
yeah.
a kind location. I was very lucky to find.
So the set design of that was already all
That
there.
was
Yeah.
already all there.
I mean, you talk about being lucky for that. That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
And we didn't really do much to it. I think it's closed down though. Unfortunately,
it has,
Oh,
it shut
um,
down like a week after we filmed. And
Yeah.
So it was really like,
There was no connection to us though. That had nothing.
Yeah.
a lot of people have been like, you built this place. Like, nah.
Aye,
It's
because
been here
it's-
for like a year. Like, it's really funny. Like this place, it's had shutters up for like 6 months now, but it's still there across from Central Station. So, if anyone wants to admire the outside of the shop, they can still see it.
They could go on a Welcome to G-Town locations tour.
Mhm.
First days and last days on set are always interesting to me.
Mhm.
Talk to me about them. Do you remember what the first day was, what the first shot
Yeah.
was, and then also the last
One
day?
of the
The funny,
first shots we had, it was we were filming in a pub for the pub scenes, and we had access to quite a good pub, but this pub was in Stirling. So with the very first shoot day, it was 6 a.m. in Stirling, with a bunch of the crew and some of the cast coming from Glasgow and Edinburgh. So it was a very early start.
I remember one of the actors put in after the call sheet come out like, I thought this was a Glasgow-based film. Why are we going into Stirling to film?
basically, like, we all studied at Stirling University, so we were still living there at the time, and Dylan was also living there, and he was working in the pub, so he had access to open it up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and we were able to get in and film from, I think we were filming from like,
So it was around 6 a.m. till about 2 p.m.
yeah. So the first scenes we shot were the guys in the pub.
Right.
Which I felt like was kind of an easy way to set them in. They weren't running around messing with slime or aliens. They kind of just had a chat of a pub, kind of ease them into the production. However, on the same opening shoot day, we had to film stuff in town at night in the alleyways that we see frequently in the film. So we basically had to like, get a train, rush all the way to Glasgow, and then film for those night shots. And we were filming, I think, roughly from about 10 p.m. to about 3 a.m. On that day, because we had an issue with it wasn't dark enough when we first showed up, because it was a bit too light to set for the night scene. So you had to wait for it to get dark. That was the issue of filming around, in the middle of the summer in a night shoot. You don't get a lot of nighttime because it goes so late.
So the first day kind of lasted from like 5 a.m. to 3 a.m.
That's a long day.
It
And
was.
then what about the last day? What was the last day? What was the last shot?
The last day it was a very good last day. I think
It was brilliant.
we won't spoil the first thing we did, but the first scene we filmed on the last day was the last scene of the film, which was in a great location, which we actually found through an escape room in Glasgow. Because this location, we were thinking, how are we going to get this? Because we can't build it. And we'd written it, not having planned where we were going to shoot it. And we were very lucky to find this escape room in Glasgow that had this very specific kind of alien-themed room that we needed. So that was...
I think I've actually been there.
Yeah.
I kind of recognise that.
We were thinking that, yeah.
So
It
that was...
was a really nice day because one of the very last things we shot, it was again a simple scene, and it was a beautiful location. The sun was going down.
Just the three, it involved the three leads on a bench. It was a pretty straightforward scene. There was nothing complicated technically for us to do, and it was kind of, it felt like a full circle moment of the three guys, which was very nice.
It was a very heartfelt scene, and it was quite, I think, perfect to end on because it was just like we start with the three guys talking, and we end with the three guys going heart to heart.
Yeah. So talk to me about the leads then. Talk to me about the casting of the movie. How did you go about that process?
Well, I think for our main character Bill, played by Danny McAllen,
He is also Stirling based, and he was Dylan's neighbour at the time. So Dylan, our producer, knew Danny a bit. We didn't really know him, but
We'd walked past him a few times, like on the way to see Dylan, so we'd said hello, like politely, but we never spoken to him properly.
and Dylan suggested him for a role, and we met him, and we thought he had the right kind of energy for it, and he was great, yeah. And the other two guys, Ruben and Stan, we were very lucky to find as well. I think we found them through, I think Graham might have recommended them. And then, yeah, we were just really lucky that, because none of them knew each other beforehand. And
But so much of the film was going to depend on like them having any chemistry with each other, and like if you don't believe them as a friend group, then like the whole film would kind of fall apart with that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we met with them a week before we started filming, and we all met up in the pub, and we kind of left the three of them alone for a little bit just to talk amongst themselves, and we were kind of like nervously peering over, looking at them, thinking like, we hope they're getting along at the moment, or it's going to be an awkward shoot.
I hope they're not meeting up to talk about, oh, this is a terrible idea, we should be doing it. No, they're very happy and troopers in this film.
Your aliens in your movie, the casting of that, or not so much the casting of that. I'm kind of like really curious. How do you go about directing those guys to act like aliens?
We had a lot of very interesting conversations because the three aliens played by Mark Dallas, Annabelle Logan, and Paddy Kondraki were all very good, and we started filming first with Paddy, so I think he kind of set the tone for how those aliens were going to move and talk. And remember, we were in the pub with him, and he was really keen to figure out how the aliens were going to walk. So we had quite a lot of talks with him about the body language. But I think they all three of them do such a great job in the film, especially with their eyes.
Their physical acting in it is amazing.
They barely blink in the whole film, and which is really unnerving. There's the one scene especially with Mark and Paddy where like neither of them are blinking at each other, and it just...
But the logistics of directing the guys in the actual morph suits was a bit more difficult, especially because half the time we were filming with them was during heat waves.
Jesus.
So we'd be in like an office during like the hottest day of the year, and there'd be all these poor people having to wear white suit, like white shirts, and their faces had to get painted, and they'd have these tight masks on,
tight
and gloves.
latex masks, and like it gets traps all heat and condensation. So very quickly you're just sweaty and warm. For a few shots, I played a couple aliens in a latex mask, and like I only had it for maybe half an hour to an hour on at a time. And there was 28 degrees heat waves in an office on the top floor.
I think the person who got it the worst was Dylan, along with helping to produce the film. He played quite a lot of the aliens. There's a sequence, when people watch it, there's a sequence in a flat where an alien is tied up, and we also filmed that in a heat wave. And it was, Dylan spent that 2 days dressed up as this alien with all the makeup on and the mask, just tied to this seat, which was really uncomfortable, but he did a great job with the whole body language and the performance of that.
They were all troopers.
Without a doubt.
A heat wave in Glasgow. Was it the summer of 2024?
2025.
Yeah. That's what I talk about bad luck, because heat wave in Glasgow is not something that usually goes together. So it must have been like the 3 days that we had good weather.
It felt like it. It was like there was 2 days, 2 blocks where we had like to be inside for a lot of it. And very inconveniently, those 2 blocks is when it spiked. So the days when it was like a lot cooler, where we're outside, and the days we're inside, it's like, it's 30 degrees outside.
We actually, in the office, we had to like black out the windows because we were filming during the day and we needed it to be night. So our gaffer, Ian, put tinfoil on all of the windows. And there was a point, I think it was the morning of the second day, him and our cinematographer, Archie, came up to us and was like, got a little bit of a problem because like feel these windows, and it was like, boiling hot, and it was like, there might be a problem because they could begin to crack, and it was like, but we were very lucky it then began to cool down. But we just had this like threat the whole day of like, what if we like destroy all of the windows in this office that we're renting out? Like, it's probably over at that point.
No, but thankfully that did not happen.
Talk to me about influences for the film. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I did jot down a few movies where I was like, I can see the influences there. But I'm curious, in your own words, in your own minds, what were your influences in general for filmmaking, and specifically for Welcome to G-Town?
Well, Peter Jackson's film Bad Taste was like probably that's
the first one.
The leading influence first, in terms of like not only with the aliens and like all the splattery aspect, but just the kind of the ethos of going out and doing it yourself, and like not having to be connected to Hollywood. I mean, that was probably the main influence, alongside like both sides, that sinking feeling.
Yeah, that was a big influence, that film especially, not just of like how it was made in a shoestring budget, but also just like the themes of the film, of this like friend group wanting to do something more in Glasgow. We've actually, the opening shot is a reference to that sinking feeling, and we filmed in Kelvinbridge Park as well, which was a famous location in that film. So we've got a lot of that sinking feeling references throughout for any fans of that film.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go back to the film festival. Take me back to when you found out that you'd been accepted. Like, who found out first? What was going through your mind?
So our executive producer, Graham, was the point of contact with the film festival, and he messaged us. And I remember Nathan and I were, that day, we were filming a relative's wedding. So we were like changing a camera. We were getting like a camera set up on a tripod or something. And we got the notification that it got in, and it was like, we were really excited about it, but we had to also like lock in because we were filming this wedding.
You still got a job
we
to
have
do.
to concentrate here.
It was unbelievable finding out. It was just like if we can get into the film festival or Fright Fest, it'd be amazing. But just finding out, like, we did it. We got in, and it was just unreal. I couldn't believe it.
Although we did have to stick to an embargo for like a month, so we weren't allowed to tell anyone for quite a while.
And
I imagine that was difficult.
it was tricky. I wanted to scream for the rooftops. Like, we did it.
we were at this like family wedding, and it's like, we had this great news, and we're not going to tell any of you.
So you have your first two screenings that were announced sold out fairly quickly. That must have been great to hear.
Yeah.
And then there's a third screening that was announced that I believe is close to selling out. However, there is still a few tickets left, and you can see on the QR code there. I'll flash up a bigger version of that on screen for the guys at home. What was that like? Not only hearing that you got into the festival, but that the two screenings that were put on sold out fairly quickly.
I remember on the Monday morning when it came out, like the whole team was monitoring the tickets, like watching, and I think we'd all talked about how we really wanted to like go out on the streets with like stuff like this and try and sell tickets. So we were planning like pamphlets and stuff like that. And I kind of the whole tickets sort of sold out in like an hour or so.
It was the
like,
first screening for the Saturday showing. It sold out in about 15 minutes. And then the second one, it sold out about maybe an hour later after that. And I remember I was at one of my day job, and I was going around and I was like refreshing the page, and it was all up there for like 10 minutes, and I just see like a warning saying, "Oh, only 15 tickets left." I'm like, "Oh my god!" So I messaged like some crew chats, like, "If you haven't got it, get it now." And I just couldn't believe it. I was messaging you guys like, "Is this real? Have we really sold that many tickets that quickly?" Like, I couldn't believe it.
It was really like, it was great on one hand, but on the other hand, there was a little bit of it was disappointed because we planned all of this promotional stuff, and it was like, we don't actually have to promote this though.
That sounds like a good problem to have.
Yeah, it was a very weird problem to have, because we're kind of like, we're happy, but we're also like, there's so much we wanted to do. But thankfully for now, we got an extra screening. It's a late night showing. I think it starts around about 10:45, and we still do have tickets.
But I think the late night aspect will really add to the viewing experience.
Yeah. So as we record this, it's about 7 or 8 days from those screenings taking place. Let's fast forward to after the festival. What do you hope to achieve from this experience?
I think we've got a couple of our film festivals in mind we're hoping to get into and play at. So we would really love if we could take this film to some other festivals in Europe and get it shown, and hopefully maybe some more screenings in Scotland as well, because we're really keen to just like get the film out there.
There's a lot of people when we're promoting stuff, the tickets are selling out quickly, and people are like, even after the festival, like, any chance I can see it in and around Glasgow. And I feel like more showings in the city would be great.
I mean, it is a Glasgow film, but we'd be very happy to play it in Edinburgh or
all over the country.
Stirling or wherever else.
Or London, the capital.
Yeah.
Not to spoil anything for the movie. Right, I won't take up too much more of your time, guys, but something I always like to end interviews on is chatting about physical media, because I'm a huge fan of physical media. I know you guys are as well. I don't think you're old enough to be the VHS generation, but do you remember what your first DVD was, and what was it?
I do actually remember having a VHS for Batman Forever.
Yeah,
Nice.
I remember.
I can remember that.
One of the ones I remember is the DVD of Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. And I remember we're talking about like bonus features. There was this bonus extra film on it called Stage Fright.
Yep.
And that gave me nightmares for years. And it was a black and white film about a circus, and I couldn't remember what it was, because like we'd forgotten it was on this disc. So that was giving me nightmares for years and for years. I was trying to think like, what was this film? Like, where was it? And then
because we could both remember it, so like it wasn't like one of us should had a bad dream about this creepy film. Like it definitely existed somewhere.
and like a few years ago we bought this the DVD back out, and we found the bonus feature on it, and it was like, it felt like a revolutionary moment. It was like, this is
the source of all your
Yeah.
fears. Callum, what about yourself? Do you remember what your first was?
Oh yeah. So for me, I had it was I think a re-release box set of the original trilogy of Star Wars,
Right.
and I think it was re-released I think at a time when the prequels are coming out. So attached to it, they had hours upon hours of a special documentary about the original trilogy being made. And I would have been, I think, maybe like 10 or 11 when I was like, I watched the films and I was just looking around it, and I found that these hours and hours of a documentary about how they made it, and it kind of just blew my mind seeing how they did all this stuff. Like I just couldn't even comprehend how many people were involved, and that I definitely feel like was a kind of first step in my interest in filmmaking, feeling like, oh my god, you can do this as a job.
Speaking of bonus features on physical media, on DVDs and Blu-rays, if you ever get the opportunity to release this on physical media, what kind of bonus features would you want to include on your movie?
We do have at least like a good hour and a half worth of behind the scenes material. So we'd love to be able to piece together like a half an hour long documentary.
a lot of people have been asking about just, like, the formulas we used for the slime and all the blood and stuff in the film. So we'd love to do a little tutorial where we show people how we made the purple alien blood.
And of course,
I'd watch that. That's a good one.
Yeah.
aye. And of course, just commentaries, trying to get the actors and crew in to just delve down, divide the film up, and talk about it.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right, guys, I think that takes us to the end there. What I would like to do is, after the festival, when we get back in like a week or two after, and you can talk about what the experience was like. But Ben, Nathan, Calum, thank you very much for your time. Folks, as I said before, there's still a few tickets left for the third show that's been released. I'll link to that below. Last word to you guys. Camera's right in the middle there. Anything you want to say to the folks watching?
Well, I think the main thing we would say is just, like, we made this film with like a cast and crew of 50 people, and it was an incredible experience from, the three of us and Dylan, the producer, and Graham Hughes, the executive producer, from the entire camera team, the sound team, the actors led by Danny, Ruben, Stan, and then the entire post-production team with like Nina and our color grader Stephen and Peachy, who did all of the sound production. I think
It was a big collaborative effort.
We were very lucky to have a great team make the film, and we hope people will go and watch it and appreciate all of the talented Scottish-based filmmakers.
This is what you can do with your friend.
Yeah.
Can't think of a better way to end that, guys. Thanks very much, and good luck at the festival.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Cheers, guys.